All right, so 2.5 is actually a shorter kind of lesson. It's dealing with formulas and problem solving. So by this point, you should be pretty comfortable solving these algebra equations. And that's really all these are. They're going to give you formulas. This first example is a formula for perimeter of a triangle. And if you notice for the perimeter of a triangle, there's really four different things. The perimeter is going to equal each side added together. Okay. So technically there's three sides, and then there's the perimeter value. So considering there's four things, if I gave you three of the four, you should be able to solve for whichever is missing. So like on number one, they're telling you, what's the value of C? Well, they're going to give you the P, they're going to give you what the perimeter equals and what A and B is equal to. And so the only thing that's missing is your C value. So in other words, they're going to tell you the perimeter. In this example, they give you the perimeter is 40. Your A value is 11, and actually your B value is also 11. So all you're really going to do, we know we have to solve for C. So what I do is I put parentheses for all the other values, okay, that I'm actually going to plug in. And parentheses are good because when we start multiplying, that's kind of going to be the indicator that you're going to multiply. But since here we know we're adding, okay, so we just plug in, and the only way you really mess these up is if you don't put the values in their right spot. All right, so remember, this first spot is for your P. So in this case, my P is 40. This next spot here should be my A value, which we know is 11. And then this is my B value, again, is 11. So this is what that equation looks like. 40 equals 11 plus C. So we just combine, we have like terms, we have constants on this side that can be added together. 11 plus 11 gives me 22. So I have 22 plus C, and again, I want my C by itself, so I gotta eliminate the 22 by subtracting 22 to both sides. Now I will have my C value by itself. And 40 minus 22 gives me 18. So my C value is 18. Again, it doesn't matter the formula. We should be at the point, or the goal would be to be at the point where it doesn't matter. I can solve any formula as long as I'm only missing one value. Okay, I should be able to solve any formula. So let's look at another example. And this formula is actually simple interest formula, which tells me my interest equals my principal times the rate times the time. Again, we know these are all being multiplied together because we don't see a plus or minus in between them. That's how they show multiplication in algebra. We just don't put it in there, but it's there. You gotta know these are all being multiplied together. And in this problem, we are solving for our T value. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out what T is. And again, it tells me my interest is 7,560. My principal is actually 27,000. And my rate is 0.07. Usually rate is a percentage, okay? And this is actually 7%, but they give it to you in decimal form because we'll start working on that. And again, what is this formula? This is called our simple, and the name of it really isn't important, but this is actually a formula that is used to calculate your simple interest. It's kind of like if you put money in a bank and it had an interest on it. Hopefully you're able to hear. I just noticed I didn't have my headset on. Instead of having to start all over, we're just going to kind of continue at this point. So I'm substituting, again, I'm going to rewrite the formula and put in the values that they gave me. And between the P and the R and the T, again, we're multiplying. So I'm going to use parentheses. I'm gonna probably run out of room. I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Do have some bigger numbers. Our P is 27,000. My R is 0.07. And then the T, that's where I put the T because that's what I don't know. That's the one missing variable. They gave me 3 out of the 4. That's fine. As long as I only have one missing variable, I can solve this. Okay, and the first thing we have to do is multiply these two values together. A little bigger. I'm not going to do that the long way. I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to go 27,000 times 0.07. And I'm going to get 1890. So we know 7,560 equals 1890 T. Again, all that's being multiplied. We know this is times T. So in order to eliminate the 1890, because I want the T by itself, I'm just dividing 1890 to both sides. And another time where I'm going to get my calculator, 7560 divided by, 7560 divided by 1890. And my T, and that's usually in years, that means my time would be 4, be at 4 years. The next thing they kind of do is they give you this is actually in standard form, and what they're going to tell you is they're going to tell you solve for y. In other words, what they're telling you, get the y, they want the y by itself. All right, so what's keeping the y from being by itself? The 3x, right? So all we really have to do is subtract the 3x from both sides. And we moved our y down. Now we have the y by itself. Now again, we got 7, take away 3x. And normally you're going to put, I would put the 3x first. So I mean, you can leave it 7 minus 3x. Or if you wanted to, you could enter that as negative 3x plus 7. Understand these are the same things. But in no situation can you add those two together. These are unlike terms. One has a variable, one doesn't. Okay, so either answer here would be acceptable. And understand they are the same thing. Look different, but they are the same value. So you have a few problems where you're going to solve for y. And what you notice again, it doesn't matter the formula. As long as there's only one missing variable, I can easily, maybe not easily, but I can definitely solve this. And in this situation, we are solving for h. H is what's missing. And they tell me my a, I'll write it off to the side, is 153. And they gave, there's two different b's. There's a capital B that equals 8. There's a lowercase b that equals 9. And then h is what's missing. So I know h is going to be part of the answer. And then you'll see in here I have parentheses and then parentheses kind of mixed in. And I'm just plugging in. My A is 153. That goes here. My capital B goes here, which we know is 8. My lowercase b goes here, which we know is 9. Again, order of operations, remember we have to do inside this parentheses first. So I'm going to have 153 equals 1/2 h. 9 plus 8 gives me 17. Again, all of this is kind of being multiplied. 1 times h times 17 is all being multiplied together. So 1 times h is just h, and h times 17 is just going to give me 17h. And that is being divided by 2. So at that point, we want to get rid of that divided by 2. You can multiply the inverse, which if I multiply both sides by 2 over 17, I can do that too. I'm just going to kind of do it a little bit differently. I'm just going to do it one step at a time. So in other words, I'm going to eliminate the 2 first. All right. And then I'm going to do what's 2 times 153 again. Calculator. So I get, move it over here, guys. I get 306 on that side. Here, the 2's cancel out, so I'm left with 17h. And then my last step is just to divide both sides by 17. I think all of these come out to pretty nice answers. So when I do 306 divided by 17, I get h equals 18. And there was just one more that I wanted to go through with you guys. And this is this formula is for the surface area of a special rectangular box, which again, doesn't matter. You don't have to memorize these formulas. They're going to give you these formulas. And on this problem, we're actually solving for h. I'm going to write the name of the formula for you guys. Again, you don't have to memorize these formulas. Surface area of a special rectangular box. All right, so what do they give us? They tell me my S equals 68. My L equals 6. And my W equals 2. And they want you to find the one that's going to be missing is our H. And when we know that it's the H that's missing, that's this value right here. So I have every other value they gave me. Okay, so again, I rewrite the equation. The only one that's going to stay in there is the H. And everywhere there's a variable, I'm going to write a parenthesis. S equals 4. And again, these 4 LWs are multiplied together, plus 2 times W, and then that's where my H is going to stay, because that's what I don't know. That's what I'm going to be solving for. But all these are going to be filled in with numbers, with values. So we start out, this is our S value. We know S equals 68. 4 times LW, we know L is 6, that's what goes here. W is 2, and then 2 times W also goes here, so another 2 goes here. Once we do that, we're just going to kind of simplify these things. We know all 3 of these are multiplied by together, so it's 4 times 6, which is 24, and then 24 times 2 is going to give me 48, plus, what's 2 times 2 give me? 4, and then 4 times H gives me 4H. So once I get to this part, what do we have? Again, this is an H. It doesn't look like a number. I have a 2-step algebra equation where I got to eliminate the 48 first. I'm going to get 4H equals 20. And my last step, get rid of the 4. And I'm going to get H equals 5. So there's your examples. There's a few examples for what you may see in 2.5. I think it's a shorter assignment. And you may get different formulas. Really, the formula doesn't really matter. They will always just be missing one value. And hopefully we're getting a little more comfortable with these algebra equations where, again, it doesn't matter the formula or as long as I'm good and I follow my steps to solving these equations, it should be all right. And again, that's hopefully I was saying, yeah, we went from 2.3 to 2.5. There wasn't a 2.4. That's 2, 5 formulas and problem solving.